guys, thank you so much for joining us and welcome to the OTWO Pod. So again, for this season, we're building greener businesses, and today we're lucky enough to have the guys from MH Bland join us to talk about how they are driving their business to become a bit more sustainable. So joining me is Mandy and Kayley. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. So can you explain a bit about your role in MH Bland?
Shall I go first?
Yeah.
Mandy Gaggero. I'm Director of Marketing for the entire company of MH Bland, which has various departments and divisions. Okay. So we're busy. We work very closely with Kayley and her department on messaging, getting the message out of sustainability to the company employees. So that's one of the roles that we do.
And how long have you been working for MH?
20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Time flies when you're having fun.
I bet. And Kayley?
I was brought in as a HSSEQ manager, which is a bit of a mouthful.
It is.
That's health, safety, security, environment, and quality. And in recent years, we've also added the sustainability side. So we're not sure if to actually put it at the end or maintain it in the middle and put another S in there. HSSSEQ.
In short, she's busy.
Yeah.
In short, you've got a few things to do, right?
Yeah.
So how long have you been for the company you mentioned?
I've been with the company now for 6 years, over 6 years, maybe 6.5 now.
Right, brilliant. So I can imagine MH Bland, I've been researching, and you guys, I mean, the company in general has been open since 1810. I mean, yeah. We've been saying this, the sustainability wasn't even probably in the minds. It was just like industry-based, get everything you need to do. And so how, in your time, has it evolved into becoming a bit more sustainable? And when did you realize as a company, this needs to be the way forward?
Well, MH Bland as a whole, I think we've always been conscious of sustainability, of working with community especially, and trying to do things well within the communities that we work in. Things like the cable car, which was built in 1966, before my time, but it is a very eco-friendly method of transport. And more cities are building cable cars as an ecologically friendly method of transport within their busy traffic systems. Yeah. So the cable car, 1966, and it's going, and we're planning a rebuild. Watch this space.
Yeah, I've heard something about the rebuild.
It's happening. No date set as yet, but
it's in the pipeline. It's amazing,
yeah,
exciting.
Exactly. So that's going to be, and we're taking it to the next level. At the moment, it's today's cable car is very green, but the next one is going to be taking it up another level. So we're including solar powers, solar panels, and things like that. And as far as the rest of the company, little things in the 1980s. We changed the forklifts down at the stevedores, marine services side of things. We changed them from diesel to gas as an effort to become cleaner. Yeah. And then more recently, within Kayley's time, we've adapted greener fuel tried greener fuels for the Calypso Tours buses, also for the vessels, and we've got, which Kayley can talk more about, we're offsetting, or we're taking record of all the fuel we use for our vessels, for our MH Bland Marine Services vessels, and we engaged in a program for 2 years now where we offset the fuel and we give back to the planet.
Of course, I mean the type of industry that you guys are, and obviously it's tourism as well, which we'll touch a bit more about the tourism bit. But I mean, you do obviously have tourism within Gibraltar that they want to go and see. You want to go up the rock, you want to do all these things, and there are sustainable ways of doing it. But there's also, it's masses, coming in cruise liners and everything else.
Yeah.
And the fact is that there's always going to be, and we were mentioning it, like technology is moving at the same time as we're trying to catch up to it. And but it's amazing that you guys are, already having that in mind and wanting to do some sort of change to it. And offsetting is a brilliant way to start. And measuring, I think people sometimes get scared of the first number, and I'm really happy to hear that you guys are not scared of your number. It's what it is.
Yeah, it's the way you measure, it's the way you set your goals, it's the way you improve.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It was actually a few years ago through the tourism, right? It was quite funny that you started with the tourism sector, because it was through the tourism sector that we were starting to get our main sort of push towards becoming even more sustainable and looking at the sort of looking at more initiatives to what we already had. So when I started in the company, we had environmental sort of impact assessments having been done in all of our departments, but they were sort of just laying there and not much else was being done with regards to sort of your reporting and your internal policies and some more initiatives. So that's, I think in the last 3 years is where we've seen a major push in the sustainability initiatives and policy changes. It's really come to the forefront, and I think it's been sort of coming up to that in the last 10 years. I think everyone's been pushing more for an environmental friendly.
I think it's safe to say, you know, it's the way that the world has to evolve if we want it to carry on in a sustainable and in a livable sort of way, you know. And like we were mentioning, I mean, it's technologies that are adapting and are helping us to become a bit more sustainably minded. Mm-hmm. So that's brilliant. I mean, it's great that you're integrating the sustainability into your business model as well. Have you noticed any difference financially as well as any other way that's improved? Because I mean, sometimes by being a bit more efficient and knowing what you're spending and where you're, you know, the petrol and everything else and the gases and stuff, by measuring these things, you're realizing what you're using, and sometimes waste as well comes into play. Yeah, this is where I notice. No?
At the moment, we are at the point, and what I have in front of me at the moment is parts of a very extensive ESG report. And so really what we want to do now, we've been a few years measuring our data from all our departments, including the buses, kilometers and fuel spent, our vessels, the marine sector, from including sort of our forklifts and our machinery, as well as our office lights and what we're using with regards to paper. And so all of that data collection is happening and has been happening for a few years now, and we're at this point now where we can actually start evaluating everything that we do have, all the initiatives that we've been put in place, and we can start evaluating that change throughout the 3 years where we've actually started implementing a lot of these changes. And within there, we also set a number of new targets and initiatives. So hopefully, in the coming year or 2 years, we can actually see where we've improved and whether we have actually saved some money or even gained clients as a result of our initiatives, because that might be the case.
Yeah, well, Kayley mentioned paper. That was a decision that was taken, I'd say, 10 years ago, where we were going to try, and especially with the accounts departments, use, you know, printing an invoice, signing an invoice, scanning an invoice, you know, so much paper involved, and the storage of that was ridiculous. We just happened to be sorting out our storage and having a look at all of that, and we've reduced it massively. Whereas before we used to have 2 rooms full of paper that we used to have to store for 5 years. Now we're down to one tiny little room, which is just for the travel business. So accounts has gone completely paperless, which is fantastic.
It's fantastic.
Everybody signs DocuSign. We use DocuSign, so people's managers are signing invoices online and no printing, which is great.
It makes your life a lot easier.
It helps.
It's quicker sometimes. You can think of it, because I mean, if you had
More
a paper,
efficient.
exactly, you have to print it, you have to take it over. It ends up being a bit of a quicker sort of process.
It helps, like you said, new technologies have been evolving, and you've got online platforms for everything and different software now that can do and allow you to DocuSign and have all of your...
And know that it's safe. Because I mean, before you think, well, hold on, I'm going to sign this online, and is it going to be safe? Is it not going to be safe? You know. Yeah. So that's brilliant.
IT plays a massive part in the data protection and all that. You've got to work with your IT department.
So we've mentioned sort of a bit of tourism, but we haven't really delved a little bit into it. So with regards to tourism, what is it you guys are actually doing to support sustainability and pushing that a bit forward?
So I'll start with sort of the process of where we started off, and a lot of what we have done in recent years has been as a result of pressures from our clients in the tourism industry. So for our Calypso tours, it is the cruise liners, and also a lot of these pressures are coming through the marine side also with regards to our marine services. But initially it was through the cruise liners wanting us to be certified through a organisation called the Travel Life. And we now are proud Travel Life partners, and we are working towards gaining full certification this year. And as a requirement, it meant we had to obviously reach their standards and meet all of their standards. And they gave, it was quite a process. And you had a teacher that was actually assigned to you, and you did a year process, and it meant that we were able to put a sustainability policy in place. We created a new mission statement with our core values, which was also circulated to our employees. It meant that we had to up our game with regards to communication on sustainability internally and externally, which obviously helps in changing the culture internally and also externally, and also helps to give that information on to our clients, our suppliers.
It opens up that world, doesn't it? When you start going into something like this and you think, you know what, let's just investigate this a little bit more, and you start reading into it and you think, oh, hold on, that's interesting, you know, and then...
Well, it makes our partners think about the tour. For example, going back to the cruise industry, we do short excursions. Calypso Tours provide short excursions with visiting cruise liners and the passengers. The cruise liners want tours that are more sustainable. So what does that mean? Less cars, fewer cars, tours that are eco-friendly in ways that they learn something, they're part of the community, giving back to the community. And that's made our partners that provide the tours think outside the box, and not just let's get everybody into a car and take them somewhere and go out, have a little visit and get back into a car and that. So it's really changed the way people think about how to take people around Gibraltar, and how we can see it from a different angle.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is, right? It's opening up a bit of that, so it's brilliant. So we've spoken about staff, we've spoken about a little bit about your ESG. Is there any other sort of targets that you have in-house that you're looking into doing in the future?
We have
big plans, maybe?
We do. So I've actually got a list of some targets that we have, which are general MH plan goals, and then we have some that are more specific to the marine side, and then others that are more specific to tourism. As you can imagine, they're two completely different industries, and so the targets will differ slightly, but some of the main ones we have on here is recycling 100% of our hardware. So making sure that our hardware, or even today I think we had some desks being picked up by a different organisation. I don't know if that was happening or if I overheard.
We're replacing some desks. We need to fit more desks. We need to do a reshuffle, and we, rather than just throwing them away, we want to find a new home for them. We do the same with our old IT departments. You know, maybe families that maybe can't afford, don't have a PC at home. We donate it to families that they can help. Then the children can do their homework, or Possibilities has taken a few on in the past, things like that. So yeah, we're always trying to give our old equipment new life. You know, we pass it on in good condition.
Brilliant. So that was one of them. Another one is tracking our energy consumptions and emissions from all of our internal offices and all of our operations throughout Gibraltar, Spain, Morocco, Malta, so all of our establishments. At the moment, we're doing it very well for most of our offices in Spain, as well as our operations and offices here in Gibraltar, but we really want to span out and actually get the other offices into this.
So within everything that you guys have been doing, what have you found most difficult? What is it? What sort of process have you thought, oh wow, this is big? How am I going to start this? Because I mean, you put yourself into other people's perspectives, right? And you guys have been since 1810, you know, and you're a big company. A lot of small companies are probably thinking and trying to rack their brains on how are we going to start this? Mm-hmm. And you can help inspire those companies by saying, you know what, we started, yes, you're going to find this difficult, you're going to find that difficult. But
I think it's easier for the smaller companies.
Well, no, see, también
it's always getting the people to engage. It's always getting the people. People are busy at their jobs. I mean, we are full on. We're 24 in the tourism industry. It's 24/7, 7 days a week. You know, 365 days.
And the marine.
And the marine as well. We're a service industry, and they are busy, and to find time to do the extra training, to change the chip, and to sort of rethink the way they do things. that's probably the biggest challenge. But once they get it into their routine, they're great. The teams have been phenomenal, and Kayley's led on that.
Yeah, I think that's an internal sort of battle that we might have at the moment, and I think that's ever changing, especially with the younger. You can definitely see the difference between the younger generation and maybe the older generation, where they're maybe more set, and they have different priorities, maybe more set in their ways, and it's a little bit harder. But definitely the younger generation within the company, you can see where they see the value in it and they see why we're trying to move it forward. But with regards to another challenge that we have is actually bringing on board our suppliers. So a lot of the services that we provide are only, are in partnership with suppliers, critical suppliers that we have in the tourism industry. It's those, your restaurants, your sort of, your guides and all of what creates the tour and encompasses the tour. With the marine services, it's your providers to the ships and everything that comes in package, sort of. And port agency, our port agencies are you could say middlemen, essentially, and really those that are applying the service are other suppliers, and so it's really getting those suppliers on board. And with that, we've had supplier code of conduct sent out, our sustainability policies get sent out. We have a questionnaire to try and evaluate what their commitment is and trying really for them to buy in to our new policies. So that is presenting itself as one of our sort of main focuses for the next year.
Can imagine influencing is very difficult, especially when you're talking about companies that have already been dealing with it for a while, and it's trying to influence them to become a bit more sustainable. But it's amazing, you're doing an amazing job by even, trying to get them to and I'm sure it's going to happen. I mean, like we were saying, it's the way the world is going, but it's all a process.
One of the things we're looking at with MH Band Travel Services is to engage with our clients, the locals who are going away on holiday. Where are they going? How are they going? Choosing the right company. Where we partner up with people like Crowley, Audley, Carrier, who have got a whole department on sustainability of the hotels that they choose, of the tour companies that they choose, and we're very confident in the partnerships we've formed, and we want the locals to be aware of that. Which cruise liners are, for example, Cunard, have gone, they now plug into Shoreline, which means that they can switch off their engines when they're in port. That's massive. And just be a little bit more aware. NCL do a massive campaign, and everything is recyclable on board. There's no waste that makes into fish pellets, the food, and just for our clients to be aware of the companies they choose and where they go and how they go on holiday. That's one of the next things that we're doing.
Do you notice that? Do you notice that entices people to go more to those sort of cruises than another one that would, if you were to sell it and pay? It's still early
days, but it's coming into the consciousness. I think the cruise liners themselves are communicating it a lot more. People are very set in their ways. They love their ship, their company, and they're very into their routines. And so to maybe change, if not that any of them have got a problem, because actually cruising has been working at this for a long time. But yes, making people aware and educating them on that there are choices to be made,
and opening up your mind, not to see what the different the advancements that there are going on. And sometimes you can just say, well, I can implement this in my company. Why not? It's easy to do, or maybe not, but it will, in the long run, it will make it a bit
offsetting flights. That's something that's been around for a long time, but it's sort of been forgotten, I think, a little bit in the consciousness. So reminding people that that's an option. Do companies, when they do business travel, do they want to offset their business travel? Join programs and things like that.
So we have incorporated within we now have feedback forms that we send out to our customers from the travel services department, and within there is some sustainability related questions now to gauge whether it is important for them that we provide them sustainability related packages. And so through there, hopefully, I mean, it's an initiative that we started a few months ago, so hopefully over the course of the year we will pick up on a lot of those surveys and figure out whether
Get that feedback.
it's really what people want, and we're hoping it is. We've created actually a page dedicated solely to sustainability travel as well on their page.
Brilliant. And in that you have all the options that you would want to have to go on holiday in a sustainable way?
Well, just again, it's a little bit
Ideas.
of education. We've already made the decision to partner with companies that are good on the sustainability.
Yeah.
So that choice has already been made by us. But for the client to also have a think about what
The
until
choices that they
choose, things. A friend of mine, for argument's sake, they were going off to the Maldives, and I said, look, you can go to an island that is completely sustainable. They literally, you don't wear shoes, everything is green, all their sourcing organic, you can go to that sort of level.
My dream place.
So there are choices.
Kind of want to go now.
If someone wants to go to the Maldives, they can go. There's
so many
choices.
So many.
And it's up to the client.
Amazing. Thank you guys so much. Is there anything that you want to share, maybe any plans or goals that you have for next year, or at least any advice that you would give anybody that's thinking? Where would they start with?
I'll give Kayley the last word.
Right. What would you give somebody that's thinking of doing something? What should they start with? What should they start doing?
I mean, I would say that there's many platforms out there at the moment on the internet which help you throughout your sustainability journey. It is a journey, and it is something that doesn't happen overnight. And I think where you do and you could start is really looking at what your sustainability policy looks like as a company, creating a mission and a vision for the company, maybe setting up a sustainability committee depending on how big the company is, and then really start driving initiatives forward one step at a time, and maybe try not to look at it's nice to see the bigger picture, but definitely work towards achievable, sustainable goals for every year.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having us.
And thank you, guys. See you next time.